I will actually record this. Um, all right, with that, we can move right along. Um, so we'll start off with the project overview. And for those of you generally familiar with this project, this should be kind of a refresher. So the project initially really began with the traffic action plan as um, as a part of the Hillsdale or the BHNA or the Beresford Hillsdale neighborhood traffic history. So in 2017, the city and the neighborhood kind of came together to come up with the top 10 traffic concerns that the neighborhood had. And within this top 10 list, the number one neighborhood priority was actually due to the congestion as well as multimodal safety concerns at the intersection of West Hillsdale Boulevard and Alameda Dulles Pulgas. In response to the Hillsdale neighborhood's traffic action plan list, staff actually conducted traffic signal warrant studies back in 2018. And what I mean by a traffic signal warrant is it's essentially a set of parameters or set of parameters that an intersection must satisfy for an engineer to consider to basically be able to justify the installation of a traffic signal at a particular intersection. So we conducted those warrant studies back in 2018, and those warrants were actually met for this particular intersection, as well as we also did a follow-up study back in 2023 with our design consultant who verified these studies. And in 2019, we held a follow-up community meeting with the Hillsdale neighborhood regarding not only the number one neighborhood priority, but really their top 10 traffic concerns, wherein we were able to share the analysis results for that number one, for the Alameda Hillsdale Boulevard intersection, as well as our signal warrant results, basically sharing with them that we could, that the data came back and we could install a traffic signal there as a future project. And we also followed up on resolution of different items on the traffic action plan list. Next, we can move into some of the background items more local to the intersection, as well as pertinent to why the intersection sees the issues that it currently does. So the intersection is really at the intersection of Hillsdale and Alameda Dulles Pulgas is really the city's two arterial roadways. So Hillsdale being one and Alameda being the other. And what I mean by an arterial roadway is it's a type of road that serves as a major thoroughfare for the city's transportation network. And it is meant to actually carry larger volumes of traffic relative to other roadways within the city. And here, for example, would be relative to, say, like Fernwood Street or Stephen Road. And within a half-mile radius of this site exists three schools: Hillsdale High School, Abbott Middle School, and Laurel Elementary School. We have a few parks within the area, so we have definitely a lot of pedestrian activity to access those sites. We have a hospital, we have the Hillsdale Branch Library, as well as residential housing. And currently, the traffic control at the intersection is an always stop. If you've driven through there before or walked or biked, you would be familiar with that. And congestion is definitely apparent during the peak traffic hours, especially during the morning and afternoon, especially as those hours typically coincide with school pickup and drop-off hours as well. And because of that, and because of the intersection's close proximity to the three schools, there are also pedestrian and bike safety concerns. We definitely have a good amount of students using active modes of transportation to get to their final destinations. And yeah, so definitely all these considerations were important for us, not only for the satisfaction of that signal warrant study that I mentioned before, but also just considering the different design elements that I will soon talk about later tonight. And here are the project goals that we're looking to satisfy and achieve through this project. Firstly, we're looking to reduce neighborhood cut-through traffic through the implementation of this project. So currently, we definitely have congestion as the always stop just fails to actually properly satisfy the demand faced at the intersection. And through our analysis results, we were able to find that through the signalization efforts, that the level of service at the intersection or the average delay that an average driver would experience going through the intersection would decrease significantly. So we believe that through that, drivers will be more inclined to actually take the intersection as opposed to bypassing the intersection altogether, taking alternate routes around the intersection. Um, Secondly, it also improves pedestrian and bike safety, and these are city council priorities for public works in this fiscal year, specifically numbers 28 and number 40. And also the general plan policies for the city's general plan 2040 per the circulation element, and I'll just read them off quickly here. C1.2, complete streets. 1.3, vision zero. 1.4, prioritizing pedestrian and bike mobility needs. 3.1, pedestrian network. 4.1, bike network, and 6.1, roadway operations. So as you can see on this slide, this project is not really only a installation of a traffic signal effort, but it's also engineered solutions that we're looking to implement to really increase all modes of travel and enhance safety of all modes of travel really at this intersection, while also reducing congestion at the intersection. With that, with the project overview out of the way, I can also just recap on some of the outreach efforts that were done in 2024. Here's a photo of us within the Hillsdale Branch Library in that January 2024 meeting, where we basically presented on the earlier design concepts that I'll be soon talking about to give folks a refresher. And here's another photo of that. We had about 60 attendees come out, mostly residents from within the general vicinity of the intersection as we had outreach to. And we were able to share with them our earlier preliminary designs for the intersection. Here's basically a list of the project-related outreach efforts that have gone on during phase one, really 2024 outreach, as well as currently phase two or fall 2025 outreach. So in phase one, we met with the public at the Hillsdale Branch Library. We also met with the hyperlocal residents, the residents at the four corners of the intersection in May of 2024. We canvassed door to door to get people not only to know about the upcoming meetings, but also to know about the upcoming project. We had A-frame messaging along the corridor, as well as other high pedestrian activity areas. And we actually had an online survey that was up before the community meeting and a few weeks after to get specific feedback from residents that wanted to just share their vision about how the intersection project should be implemented. And we held monthly bike and pedestrian updates through the S&I Commission, or the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission. And we actually met with the schools in March of 2024. So all three schools there. We held presentations with Laurel, Abbott, and Hillsdale High School. And we held a quick on-site meeting with school staff at the intersection. And for phase two outreach, we held the in-person community meeting this Tuesday. Obviously, we're giving folks a virtual community meeting option if they couldn't make the Tuesday meeting. Similarly, we went canvassing door to door. We sent out mailers and a newsletter to the neighborhood association to our residents here within the general neighborhood. And we're also holding monthly bike and pedestrian updates through the S&I Commission. And before I discuss the design concept as well as our revised design that we have developed over the past year, I also wanted to highlight the overall approach that we took to guide and develop the project design. We drew from industry best practices, including NACDOS or National Association for Transportation or City Transportation Officials Don't Give Up at the Intersection, and Urban Street Design Guide to create a safe, comfortable, and user-friendly experience for all travel modes. The key design principles include reducing pedestrian crossing distances, improving visibility at conflict points through the use of vehicle setbacks, and promoting compact intersection geometry to discourage speeding. Together, we believe that these strategies would support a safer, more functional Hillsdale and Alameda intersection for everyone. So this was one of the two design concepts that were shared at the January meeting. January 2024 meeting. This design was actually largely focused on enhancing the current pedestrian concerns as well as basically the pedestrian safety aspects at the intersection through the use of curb extensions, pedestrian refuge islands, and also the option for a dedicated left turn signal to separate out vehicle and pedestrian phases with the signal implementation. So here's those curb extensions that I was discussing, as well as the pedestrian refuge islands, and then the option for the dedicated left turn signal. And this was the second design concept that was shared at that same meeting. And this ended up being the concept that was preferred by the overall community based on feedback received. Here you'll see that while pedestrian safety was still accounted for, we actually sought out a more balanced approach that looked to enhance bike safety at the intersection, as well through the use of the design methodology from NACDO, as I just mentioned. You'll see that the pedestrian and bike safety will ultimately be achieved with the implementation of these protected corners that are essentially spaces that only bikes and pedestrians would access. And through the use of engineered measures and sightline principles, that drivers will generally be more aware of other users at the intersection. The protected corners also achieve shortened crossing distances as they sort of act as a curb bulb out, like the prior design. So here I'll zoom in a little bit. We have the protected corner. Pedestrian refuge islands were still able to be implemented through this option, and obviously the signal efforts. So these are the key points that we received from the public back in 2024. And this is not only from the feedback received at the January meeting, but really from all stakeholders like our schools, our students, and other residents who didn't necessarily make the meeting. So firstly, that pedestrian safety is the highest priority for the intersection. And their specific concern being that potential conflicts between turning vehicles and pedestrians. And also, relatedly, conflicts for bikes were also a major concern from residents or from from the feedback received. The congestion caused by the signal was expressed by the community at this meeting, actually. So this is despite the fact that we did share a little bit about our traffic analysis done, and like I mentioned before, that the level of service would be much improved through the implementation of the signal. And lastly, that drivers turn too quickly at the corners of the intersection currently. So with that, here in the next few slides, I'll be going over the revised design, which further developed the community's preferred protected intersection concept, while simultaneously we were looking to address some of the feedback received during the January 2024 meeting, as well as feedback received from other stakeholders as well. Of note is that we were actually able to incorporate certain design elements such as the dedicated left turn pocket and left turn signal for this design to address pedestrian safety concerns, as well as concerns related to congestion at the intersection. So here's an overview of that revised design, or more of a zoomed in shot. So here we have Alameda de los Pulgas going left to right, left being north, and West Hillsdale Boulevard going up and down your screen, west being towards the bottom of your screen. So the outreach key points that I had just read off is found on that smaller table to the bottom left of your screen. So you can kind of see that through the revised design to the second column on that same table, I bolded the language relevant to how this revised design was able to look at the feedback received and also consider a specific design element to satisfy the concerns of our public. So in this case, for pedestrian safety, the revised design reduces crossing distances for pedestrians at the intersection while providing the dedicated pedestrian crossing phase. So here we have those red arrows on your screen depicting the shortened crossing distances. Like I mentioned before, using those protected corners we're able to achieve a very similar effect that was shown at the pedestrian enhancement design concept. So fortunately, folks using the intersection not only as a pedestrian, but also as a bike will be generally less exposed to traffic as they cross Alameda or West Hillsdale Boulevard. And we also have here, we were able to consider implementing the left turn pockets also with the left turn signals. So this involves cutting away the existing island medians on Alameda de los Pulgas and removal of a few trees to fully implement this. So fortunately with this, obviously vehicles turning left from Alameda will have their own dedicated left turn face when no pedestrians are present in the crosswalk. And that is how we were able to satisfy this key point that we received for pedestrian safety. Next, we have the outreach key point regarding the bikes for conflicts for bikes being a major concern. So here on your screen, I've kind of boxed those what we call cross bike markings. So bikes will be able to navigate the intersection more comfortably, being guided by these cross bike markings. So I really only highlighted the ones across Alameda, but obviously we're looking to implement ones crossing West Hillsdale Boulevard as well. As well as through the use of these physically protected corners that restrict vehicle encroachment. So here I boxed the protected corners. So through the use of these corners, bikes will be essentially protected and shielded from vehicular traffic altogether. And bikes would be able to really be within the line of sight of a stopped vehicle. So here in this example, headed east, a bike would actually wait for their green light well ahead of a vehicle queued, also headed eastbound or making their left turn. So this would generally improve their visibility and increase driver awareness, helping to reduce certain, definitely like for the potential for right hood collisions. The benefit of these protected corners also allow bikes to complete a two-stage turn relatively comfortably, especially for bikes who are still or less experienced bikers who are looking to navigate this intersection. So this is definitely one such advantage from the protected intersection concept that we are happy to incorporate. Next, we definitely heard feedback from residents that even despite the signalization efforts, that congestion would be caused by the signal. So this revised design actually accommodates the left turn pockets as mentioned before. So this provides that dedicated left turn face for traffic turning from Alameda onto West Hillsdale Boulevard. And this improvement relieves current traffic and turning congestion while also reducing those conflict points between pedestrians and drivers. And lastly, drivers just turning too quickly at the corners of the intersection. So we not only added these protected corners with this revised design, or we were able to basically keep the protected corners with the revised design, but we added these rubber speed wedges to encourage drivers to make slower and more deliberate right angle turns, improving visibility and safety for all modes of travel. And here are some revised design changes that were made from the preferred design alternative from that January meeting. So as I discussed earlier, we were able to incorporate left turn pockets as well as the dedicated left turn signal on Alameda to the preferred design alternative, as originally it did not have one. And we actually made the left turn lanes longer. This was partly due to address the concerns about congestion despite our efforts to signalize the intersection. But also, the project originally sought to minimize impacts to trees within a median island. And the 2 of 4 corners at the intersection now have protected corners. So we weren't able to provide protected corners at all 4 corners due to certain design vehicles needing to make right turns. I'll show that right here. Here we have our intersection, and we have here highlighted with those red boxes, basically a box truck, kind of like a Home Depot moving truck or something of that nature. And we basically did what's called a swept path analysis, where we sweep the vehicle to make the right turn from Alameda onto West Hillsdale Boulevard. And through that, I've kind of highlighted that magenta line showing the outside edge of the body of this vehicle. And because of this, we determined that we couldn't implement a protected corner here safely. So even though it is a partially protected intersection, we believe that it's definitely better as due to the reasons that I just mentioned, to at least partially protect the intersection to achieve safety enhancements for our pedestrians and bikes. And parking is also something that our residents definitely ask about. So in this slide here, we're just showing basically just one corner, the southeast corner, and how really outside of the general vicinity of the actual intersection improvements, that parking will generally be maintained. Basically anywhere outside of those buffered bike areas, any unmarked parking stalls at Alameda and also on West Hillsdale will be maintained, typically mid-block as shown here. Lastly, before we do the Q&A, I just wanted to give a quick update on the timelines for the project. For phase one outreach, I've kind of circled it in here with the red circle. So we have here basically noting that we reached out to the public largely in 2024 with those preliminary designs that we developed with our design consultant. And within the past year and a half, we've been developing the design in earnest, which culminated in the revised design that you just saw in this presentation. And we're obviously following up with the committee this week with the in-person meeting options as well as tonight's virtual meeting option. And lastly, so the project is fully funded for construction and will likely bid and award the project through City Council in winter of this year into 2026 and be able to implement the project and traffic signals by summer of 2026. So I do want to quickly go over some general questions that we believe could be thought about, I guess, by those attending tonight to basically get actionable questions or actionable feedback for the project design team. So we kind of split it up in the left column by different topic areas that you can consider as you look at the or think back to the project design. And I'll also show basically the project design again. So we thought that generally overall design, how folks can look at the layout working for everyone at the intersection for really people driving, walking, and biking, which is one such example of the overall project design and user experience. Definitely questions that you could consider asking yourself regarding walking and bike comfort and safety, as well as traffic operations and basically your experience driving through the intersection post-project. So, and also the design details that I was basically sharing about. Questions such as, is it clear where each mode, car, bike, and pedestrian should go in this design? And lastly, transitioning and educating everyone regarding the project, even during construction and after it is built. So these are all kind of questions that we believe would be, we believe we could get good feedback on from you all folks as we basically take the project through to bid and into construction. And with that, we can kind of open it up to, I see some raised hands already, but yes, we can definitely open up to public Q&A. I'll put it back here for now, though. Okay, I will allow Blvd go with them. See a raised hand. Feel free to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for doing this presentation. Quite helpful. I couldn't make it on Tuesday. My question is regarding the trees. Last year in the during the Hillsdale library, I had brought up my concern as well. Is I don't mind any part of the project that's happening. It's just that so many trees are being cut. Um, Sometimes it becomes inevitable. I guess I would prefer that we focus on trees, but my focus may not be somebody else's focus because clearly, people's safety is greater than a tree. I can understand others' concerns. So, and just looking at some of the construction that has happened previously, I did not know on Alameda de Pulgas going up the hill, there was work being done, and so many trees were cut along the median there as well. And over the last few months, I noticed that trees were cut in the Hillsdale High School as well. So, with this project, cutting of more trees in the median just seems so many more trees. So, my question, I guess, is there plans to plant any more trees? Because I know this is inevitable. I know that this plan is going to go ahead and trees will be cut. So what can we do to mitigate such a loss of trees? Will there be more trees planted?
Thank you for your question, Gautam. Um, so to, I guess, reiterate your question was noting that during last year or early last year at the meeting, we mentioned that the implementation of the new left turn pockets would result in tree removals, and that currently you have already experienced a lot of tree removals. Like I believe this is due to the paving projects on Alameda de los Pulgas. And basically, your question is, will the project team consider, will really the agent or the city consider like planting or offsetting the tree losses due to the project? Um, I believe those are still conversations to be had with our Parks and Rec department, especially regarding like um, if we were to be able to offset the losses of the project related losses of these median trees, which would be three additional trees to implement our left turn pockets, exactly like where those would be planted. Um, but I think those conversations are still definitely to be had. So we definitely understand that. I know I mentioned it in that slide briefly that more trees would have to be impacted to accommodate those left turn pockets, which would enhance pedestrian safety, but also help with the congestion related issues at the intersection. Um, and I guess I wouldn't be able to answer the question about um, what's happening with the losses experienced due to the paving project, um, but I think that's something we can get back to at if you can maybe share your contact information regarding that question. But definitely, we'll be having to coordinate with Parks and Rec for the losses experienced due to the Hillsdale and Alameda for the three trees that would have to be uprooted to be able to implement our left turn pockets. Does that?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. So
Yeah,
basically, what I understand is this is a conversation that will have to be taken up with Parks and Recs. Currently, there is no current answer, but we can discuss this further with other city groups. Correct?
definitely. Yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely on our
Yeah.
mind. Okay.
Man, yeah, this is, I did not know about the project, and I'm just speaking, I guess. I did not know about the project up the hill on Alameda de las Pulgas going towards San Carlos. Man, there were so many trees on the median and they were cut. And whenever I walk on Hillsdale and Alameda, you could just look up and you see the loss of trees. It's just immense. And now, since I live close by where this is happening and I walk to the intersection, I'll see more loss of trees. It just feels so much of an impact.
Yes,
But I do understand, there's always a balance that has to be drawn because there's so many different parameters that work into this. How do we accommodate pedestrian safety? How do we accommodate bike safety, et cetera, et cetera?
yes,
So I know there's some give and take, but I really hope we plant more trees to offset the loss of these trees.
definitely. Feel free to maybe like direct message me or email, and we can get you a better answer on that as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do I just drop my email in the question answer section
Oh,
or?
I think that works too. We'll take it from there.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. We have Mike Swire. I will allow you to unmute.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the hard work. This is a great project, and I think I like a lot of it. One thing that I'm a little concerned with is that there's only protected turns, I think you called them, on two of the four intersections. And I think I understood you saying that that could not be accommodated because of the need to allow larger trucks to be able to make sharp right turns. Um, can you confirm that? And also, how many trucks actually do that a day? I mean, if people are complaining about congestion and cut through traffic, why are we designing the intersection in some respects for large trucks instead of making it as safe as we can for people that walk and bike right next to a school?
Thanks, Mike. I'll turn to that slide while I maybe have Joe or Bethany answer.
Sure, I can
Um,
speak. Oh, go ahead,
oh
Bethany.
yeah, sorry, Joe. I was going to jump in really quickly.
Go for it.
Sing's going to pull up a slide to show you what the intersection operation is going to look like. And so we actually don't have really a great slide to demonstrate it, but what's going to happen is you'll have the protected left turns coming from Alameda, and then for each leg of Hillsdale, they'll each have their own green light that will have its own dedicated left turn. So once eastbound Hillsdale goes, it'll have the ability to have a left turn, a through, and a right turn. The pedestrians crossing, I don't think I have an ability to do a laser here, but there wouldn't be a pedestrian conflict when you have that particular green light. You would have the pedestrians going that run parallel to that movement. And so saying maybe you can help describe that with a laser if you have that ability. And so each leg on Hillsdale will have that ability and won't have that left turn conflict. And as far as the truck movements go, that's a design criteria that we use throughout the city. It's really things like UPS trucks and things like that. It's not accounting for, really big delivery trucks or anything like that, like really substantial grocery store size trucks. These are really common delivery trucks that we see all the time. And we think that it's important to accommodate for them in our designs. So this isn't something that we're, looking at really uniquely with this intersection. It's something that we look at all around the city.
Yeah, I understand that might be the city's standard, but I think given the crash history in the city, we have to re-examine what the standard is. And we
Yeah.
should be asking the delivery drivers to accommodate us and our safety rules as opposed to us compromising on safety to accommodate them. I
Yeah.
mean, I just got back from New York City and they have UPS and Amazon guys riding bikes to deliver packages. And, they do that because that's the only way they can get around. And I'm sure that if we made the streets as safe as possible, albeit not as convenient for, let's say, medium-sized trucks, they would find a way to get the job done. So I think it's incumbent on the city to look out for safety first instead of making things easier for the delivery drivers.
Yeah, certainly understand that. That is our standard right now. And so that's one that we continue to adhere to. I think the part of the challenge is when we don't account for these turning movements, these vehicles turn into opposing lanes. And again, because they are fairly frequently used throughout the community for various kinds of deliveries, and that's not a system that we have in place yet for them to use alternative modes, that we also don't want to put our other motorists and other users of the roadway in danger by putting in those more restrictive turns. So certainly understand, Mike, the need for balance. This is the smallest design truck that we utilize. Again, there are much larger options that a lot of other agencies may use for these designs. This is a really small vehicle compared to some of those other ones. And so we do think that this is a pretty small size to utilize for this analysis anyway. And we're already finding with that small size that there's a need to redesign the intersection, unfortunately. And it has to do with the fact that Hillsdale is a really narrow receiving side. And that's part of the challenge in this particular location. But certainly understand the comment and appreciate that feedback.
Okay, thank you.
We've had a George Colby. George, please feel free to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me? It's George. Has there been any consideration for drainage or new drainage?
Right.
Like after it rains, some of those intersections get pretty flooded around the curbs right now.
Right. Joe, did you have any take on that?
Sure. Yeah, I can offer what we considered as part of the design. So we are looking to maintain the existing drainage infrastructure out there. The exception would be at the medians where there are some existing storm drain inlets, which are being replaced as the location is being shifted. But all of the existing along the curbs is being maintained. But we did make sure that as we designed the curbs, they had adequate flow around them so that water won't pool directly in front of the curb ramps or right at the corner of the intersections.
Yeah, a little off the subject, but down there by that Laurelwood School on 36th, where they've got the drainage there and the curbs and everything else is really terrible.
Right. Is this George? Is this a new curb ramp that was recently done, or just
No,
existing problems?
it's been there for years, and all the curb is all I would consider broken up. You know, there's not a clear traffic flow, and the drainage there is also terrible.
Definitely. Maybe we can look into that issue just as a side matter. But
That would be great.
yeah, so I'll probably like message you to confirm the actual location of the issue, but maybe it
Sure.
needs some maintenance. Thank you.
Sure.
And thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
We've had a Q&A question from user Volker Drive. I guess we'll answer this live. Now, so the question states, could we please get a keep clear painted on the street of Alameda and Volker, as the intersection doesn't have a stop sign? At school drop-off, this is already difficult to leave our homes or our streets, or our street. Love the left turn lane. How many cars will fit before the median? So it's really two questions. One request being the keep clear. Pavement markings, likely headed northbound, I believe. As well as how many cars will fit in the new left turn pockets. Joe, did you have a good count? I believe it's like 100-foot left turn pocket length.
Yes, I believe so. I'll double check that right now against our plans. But we did measure it. So we had a third-party consultant do a traffic analysis that estimated how much a typical day would look like in terms of how many vehicles would be queuing up to turn. And then we matched that queue length to ensure that there was enough room for all of those vehicles. But I'll look up exactly what that number is right now saying.
Thank you. And yes, for the first question regarding the keep clear markings, we'll definitely look to see if it's something that we should need along with this project. I believe right now the concern or the issue or the reason why this is being requested right now is because of those morning and afternoon peak hours and people really piling on Alameda de los Pulgas to head north or make a right turn onto Hillsdale. So although we'll look into the request, as mentioned before, really this project with the signalization efforts will help reduce a lot of those queuing issues on Alameda, meaning that the keep clear markings may not be needed, but we'll definitely look into it to confirm as well.
And just confirming those are 100-foot turn pockets.
Cool. So I believe that kind of answers your question. So 100-foot turn pocket, at least when the left turn pocket is seeing a red light, would fit about, I believe, 5 cars. Thank you. Are you experienced? We have a user named Experienced Alex W. Just joining late, but wondering if there are any plans to modify the current bus stops on Hillsdale. Samtrans put a bus stop right next to our property up near Fernwood, and it's becoming a real eyesore and problem on our property. Would love if they were considering moving the stop, as the sidewalk clearly has no room to support the number of school kids who wait there. This particular bus stop that you're referring to is a little bit out of the project scope, but I think it might be worth inquiring with our partners with Samtrans to see maybe if it's a new stop entirely, why it was placed there. But likely it was to support the school students needing access via the bus stops. But definitely it's something that can inquire with Samtrans on, and maybe follow up with you. If you could also leave your contact information, you can probably just message it to me and we can get back to you on that. We have, yes, of course. We have another raised hand by Mike Swire. I'll allow you to unmute.
Yeah, thanks again. So right now the existing Alameda is 4 lanes, 2 in each direction, and the difference now is we're adding the turning pocket on 1 on each side. Is that right?
Correct. We're cutting back the existing island median to basically fit in this new left turn pocket. We're also slightly reconfiguring the width of each lane to actually accommodate everything, including the protected corners and whatnot.
So what is the width as you approach the through lanes as you approach the intersection on Alameda?
All lanes are 10-foot minimum.
Okay, that sounds okay. So you said the signal will help reduce wait times and improve throughput. It sounds like this left turn pocket will also do the same. So it sounds like we're increasing the capacity of the intersection. What kind of estimate do you have in terms of what the car throughput is right now at peak times, and how that'll change when we make this intersection faster?
I don't have okay.
I can jump in on that again. So what we had seen in an analysis that we had done at the intersection quite a while ago is the delays for the intersection were somewhere around 40 and 60 seconds in the AM and PM respectively. And we see that those wait times, that delay drops down to somewhere around 10 and 15 seconds. And so it just dramatically reduces the amount of delay for vehicles overall getting through here through the implementation of the traffic signal. So I don't have the actual capacity numbers. The capacity itself doesn't really, sorry, that's not the case. There are changes to that. They're sort of theoretical capacity values, and I'd be happy to provide some of that information if that's something that you're looking for.
Yeah, that would be helpful, just because I don't think you can, I don't want people to get the impression that by making things faster, that all of a sudden congestion or delays are necessarily going to get better in the long term, because as you know, the easier you make it to drive on this route, the more people that will take this route instead of 92, instead of parallel routes, etc. So eventually I'd assume that some, if not all, that benefit could go away, if not even pulling people out of trains and things like that. So yeah, if you could send me an email how the capacity of intersections changing over time, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, and this intersection is a decent ways away from, some of our major transit stops. So I'm not particularly concerned about that. This is a high priority that was identified by the neighborhood specifically, and we did see that it met traffic signal warrants. Those are documentation in state guidance that allows us to make decisions on if the volumes or various other criteria at an intersection would qualify it for a traffic signal. And again, this intersection did meet those warrants. And we are also excited about the additional pedestrian and bike safety enhancements that we'll be able to incorporate as a result of having the traffic signal as well. The signals themselves certainly provide additional opportunities technology-wise for us to be able to implement those different enhancements. And so again, there's multiple benefits that we're that we are excited about for the implementation of the signal. So it's certainly understanding again what the concerns are, but there's a few other things that we're looking to address with this as well.
Yeah, and thanks. I definitely like the bike competitive enhancement. So thank you.
Great.
There are no open questions right now. I believe you, sir, are experienced Alex W. If you could please share your contact information with me privately so we can follow up on that other question you had. We can wait a little bit to see if folks have any further questions. No. Well, thank you. Thanks, Alex.
I think with that, we're good to wrap up saying, if you wanted to show the QR code and then your email address, if folks have any additional questions, they can go ahead and follow those links and send over additional emails as questions arise.